Hi, Natalie.
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think that we should start with a little toast.
I think so.
What do you think?
Yeah.
We'll get our glasses. Why are we toasting, Natalie?
We are toasting to being cancer-free.
Cancer-free.
Yeah.
Yay. Well done.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
so happy for you.
I know.
I was really happy to hear that. And I'm sure your whole family was as well.
Yeah, it's such a relief, to be honest. It's been a whirlwind, but you know what? We are so thankful and so grateful that, yeah, cancer-free.
Shall we maybe give the viewers and listeners a bit of background? Do we want to go back before your diagnosis?
Yeah. So I guess life before my diagnosis. So I am a self-employed advisor. So I work as a mortgage and protection advisor, and I'm a working mum. I have two small girls who are 5 and 3. So life is busy. So yeah,
Very busy.
very
5 and 3.
mhm.
I'm working.
Working. You're being a mum. You're spinning quite a lot of plates at the same time, and I think that's what it was. It was just all too much. You know what it's like. You're running after the kids, you're trying to run your business, you're looking after the house. It's a lot.
And you're trying to have a personal life.
And then you're trying to be your own person.
And then
And then the unexpected happens.
talk us through that. What actually happened? How did the diagnosis come about? What was the signs? Did you feel a lump, or were you just not feeling well? Like, what actually led you to go into your doctor?
So strangely enough, my husband, he was on a charity trip at the beginning of the year to Uganda. And while he was away for 2 weeks, I had found a lump. And it was one of those things where, time of month, lumps can come forward and they can be completely hormonal and completely fine. And because I'd never felt a lump before, it's not as if I check myself. So,
I know, and we should.
because, these things we need to be vigilant and look out for. But, I was 36 at the time. It's not something that we check, we don't have time.
36 is so young.
So young,
Like,
yeah.
I'm 44 and I don't check.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. And I don't think many people would. You're too busy. And it's not something you think about either.
No, you think it's not. I'm not there yet.
No,
And also, yeah, you don't think about it.
I would never cross your mind.
No. But my hubby said he checks enough. He says he'll do the check. But no, all jokes aside, we should be checking.
Absolutely.
But anyway, if you don't check, how did you find a lump?
So I actually had lost a bit of weight, and obviously with Will being away, I had just, I was just in the shower one day and it was like washing. I came across the lump and I thought, you know what? I actually had said to my mum, because my mum, she was a nurse. So I thought, look, check this to make sure that to make sure I'm feeling what I'm feeling and it's still there and you think that it is something. So anyway, she checked it and went, no, look, I don't think it is anything, but let's get you checked.
You're so lucky to have that, though.
Absolutely. And, do you know, every day then I was kind of checking, are you still there? Are you still there?
And where, do you mind if I ask where exactly where it was?
Quite in the middle of the breast.
So not like down low where you would think.
No,
it was
you would think
quite high up.
in the middle of the breast. And I went to the doctor. So I made the appointment, went to the doctor, and she did her checks. And she said, look, show me what you're feeling. And I'd showed her, and she goes, I don't think that is anything, but we'll red flag you anyway.
Good.
Now, interestingly enough, you're supposed to be seen within 2 weeks, whereas on the NHS at the minute, you can be red flagged, but you'll not be seen for 6 to 8 weeks. Now, isn't that crazy?
Scary.
But it's a long time to wait when you've been red flagged for something, so...
Even 2 weeks is a long time.
Yeah. But like, imagine having to wait 6 to 8 weeks. So luckily now we had private medical insurance through my husband's work, and I've never had to use anything like this before. So I just thought, you know what, I can't wait 6 to 8 weeks. Didn't want to worry him.
So he didn't know anything about
not
this
at this stage
this
until
point?
I'd say I seen the doctor, and then I told him.
There we go again. Typical women trying to do it all ourselves. I don't want to work. I mean,
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? I didn't want to put him under any extra unnecessary stress or anybody for that.
yeah, he's not there. What can he do?
Absolutely. So obviously, when he comes home, then I have to let him know, because look, you're a team, so you want him with you, and he wanted to be there more than anything. So booked the appointment, and I got an appointment for the following week. So having private has really, and I know we're just lucky that we had it through his work. But anyway, so got seen, went up to the doctor, and he again did the checks and said, look, I don't think it is anything, but again, go across the hall and go and get your mammogram and go get your ultrasound. Now, I'm 36, I've never had a mammogram before. That is an experience.
Really, I haven't had one.
Have you not?
I know. Listen, I definitely am going to have one. We've had some chats, and I know now that what I need to do. But so tell me about this.
So the mammogram machine, I think if you've had kids, your pride isn't, you don't really have much pride, but the mammogram machine. So it basically, you're going in and, you're putting your breast into the machine, and it kind of flattens it. And then they have to take it from a certain angle. And then I also got an ultrasound done. But interestingly enough, when I was...
Sorry, that flattening does not sound
No, it's not nice.
fun. Is it sore?
It's uncomfortable. I wouldn't say it's sore at all. It's uncomfortable more than anything.
Okay.
But it's the fact that the nurse has to help you.
That just reminds me of a nurse trying to help you breastfeed.
Yeah, it's like, okay, guys.
Right, okay. So then you've had the mammogram, the uncomfortable but not painful mammogram.
No, it's not painful. It's just uncomfortable more than anything. And because I've never had one before, I didn't know what to expect. So it's one of those things. But interestingly enough, got the ultrasound done after, and the radiologist comes in and she's like, okay, so the lump that we're seeing here is completely normal.
Phew.
However, on the other side of your breast, we have come across these things called calcifications. Now, calcifications can be complete.
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
So if
So the lump
you
is
hadn't have had that lump that
Yeah.
was of no concern,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have,
No.
well, we don't know
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
So there were calcifications.
Calcifications, yeah.
Right.
So these calcifications can be completely normal. However, they're over quite a large area, and we want a biopsy done. So, of course, whenever you're being told at that time, it's like, what? My stomach just hit the floor, and I thought, what is going on?
I'm sure you're just like, what lump? I've been worried about this lump.
Oh,
It was going to take 68 weeks, and now I can wait. I can get it next week. That's great. Okay, I'm getting it checked. They're doing all the scans,
Yeah.
and now they've just been told it's nothing to worry about.
However,
But this,
yeah, my stomach hit the floor. I was, in that there sick feeling, and you're like, what's going on? You're just, and anxious.
yeah,
Yeah.
just because you just don't know.
Don't know. So we come out of the room, and I go back and sit with William. We're waiting to go back in to see your consultant to discuss their findings. And I could just see
Oh, William, your husband.
my husband.
So he was there with you then.
Thankfully, yeah.
Oh,
He's been a great support. Like, I can't deny that. And he's been there. He's been my rock, to be honest with you. But
that must have just been so. Imagine having to go. Imagine he hadn't come back from Uganda, and you were. Suppose you would have had your mum, I suppose.
yeah, but you
still.
do need that good support. You just want them, don't you?
Yeah. So then they were going to do a biopsy.
Yeah.
Was that being done at that time?
No.
So you had to wait.
Absolutely. So we go back into the room and speak to the consultant, and he kind of discusses the findings and says, look, we're going to get you a biopsy, but we want it done quite quickly. So we actually got an appointment for the following week in the city hospital. Yeah. And there again, the mammogram machine does it. It's not even... So it's basically where you go in, and the mammogram machine, so they have to basically leave in markers where they found from one end of the cells to the other side. And they basically biopsy each side, and they give you local anesthetic to kind of freeze. But oh my word, it was so sore.
Yeah.
because it's
So
anesthesia.
that's a really strange thing in medicine to numb you so that you don't feel anything. The thing
But
that
it was
numbs you
right.
stings.
Yes. And even at that, I don't really feel like it fully worked because obviously from one side to the other, this side closer into the center of your breast, like it's more nippier.
Yeah.
It was very sore, and I'll not lie about that
Yeah.
it was sore. Yeah.
So this was a week after you'd
A
been
week
told
after.
about the calcifications. How long did you have to wait after that?
So then to go back and see my consultant was a further, I would say, week and a half before I seen him next. And like that's a long time waiting. Now I know I've seen pretty quick here because if I'm on the NHS, I still haven't been seen.
And I'm sure you're still sitting thinking, "But I'm only 36.
Oh, it's
There's no way." And you're trying to keep your positive mindset.
yeah, and because they kept saying these can be completely fine. And of course, Dr. Google, I'm going on Google.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of going, no, this is completely normal. These can be fine. It'll be nothing. But you're so anxious.
Yeah.
So you're trying to keep busy.
With your two little girls, I'm sure.
Yeah, keep normality as much as possible. I think that's the key thing in all of this.
So you go back a week and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and what happens? Hubby with you?
Oh yes.
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't leave my side. Which I'm so glad for. It's like we were like a wee team in all of this, and I think that's really important. But we go back, and it's funny, like I was left to the last appointment, and it was almost like he left me last to give me more time. Yeah. So yeah, go in and they talk about the disease, not the C word, which is quite nice. It's like a softer kind of.
You said that to me actually in
Yeah.
a conversation. You like that they call it a disease as
Yeah.
opposed to the C word.
The C word. And I think, there's a lot of.
Why is that?
I think cancer can be quite
Almost final, maybe?
yeah, I do. Yeah. So whenever we were talking about the diagnosis and the disease,
It's like there's a
it was
cure.
like a softer touch to it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's treatment,
Yeah.
cure,
Oh, there's so
something
much we
to
can
be.
do,
Yeah.
and I suppose they're never going to say, look, you're going to be completely fine. They're going to say, we can treat this because we don't know what else is going on. But yeah, I feel like disease is a nicer way of putting it. Definitely.
So let's go back to that moment in time.
Yeah.
How did you feel when it was
Um,
put all out there that you had?
I feel like when we were going into the appointment, the whole way down in the car, we were thinking, this is going to be fine. And then we were fine in the waiting area. And then when we went in, and he had kind of confirmed the diagnosis, what we weren't expecting to hear. Oh gosh, I'm getting upset. Didn't expect this.
You okay?
No, I'm fine. Yeah, thank you.
You don't have to talk about it.
No. You just kind of feel like your wee world's falling apart. Gosh, I didn't think I would get so sorry. Yeah, I just remember looking at William and thinking, oh my word, what are we going to go through here? But
And your girls, I'm sure as a mum, I know my go-to would be.
yeah, I feel like, I'm 36. I have two girls. They're 5, they're 3. I'm too young, And but I knew with my diagnosis, like this is something that can be treated, and this is something. And we talk about the journey, and we're going to go on a little journey. And I knew I was going to be okay, but I think what hit hard home for me is that I lost my dad 3 years ago to cancer. So it's just like, here we go again, But
I know that hit your family really hard.
yeah, so here we go again, But I think that with my diagnosis, I know with breast cancer, there's so many different types and stages and things like that, but I knew mine was going to be treatable.
But that doesn't, that I'm sure that,
But it's still
didn't make it any less scary.
No, still scary. And
Because you did say to me that during a conversation about, you felt, Describe it to me the way you said it to me about the differences in the diagnosis and how you felt like you
Yeah,
like you said.
there's some people, or everybody has their own journey, okay? And
And this is yours. I'm
this is
grateful
my
to be here for sharing it.
yeah, and this is my personal journey, and I chose to share this, because I'm early stage breast cancer, and I know I'll be okay, but I know other people don't get that news, or that they don't get the same good news that maybe I would get, or everybody has a different journey to go on. So
But that doesn't make yours
that
any
doesn't
less
make mine any.
scary. And so
Yeah.
we've had a chat about that.
Yeah.
Don't be worrying about other people's
Yeah, totally.
opinions and their journeys, and just you focus
Yeah.
on your
And
own.
getting myself better. Yeah, definitely.
Did you? So who was the? Well, when your husband was there with you, so who was the first person you told when you came?
Oh, my mum.
Yeah, I know.
Oh
Oh God, that would have broke her heart.
Yeah, so as soon as we got out, I spoke to my mum, and then I rang my sister. Um, just immediate family, really. My brother and, William's mummy and daddy, because they had our girls while we were at the appointments, and they have been fab. We have a really good support system, and I
That's
think
so good.
it's so important that you have that, especially like we can't thank my mum, or his mum and dad. They have been amazing.
And I would imagine that there's a lot of people who would want to save family members the worry.
Yeah.
That's not, I don't believe that that's the right thing to do, because
No.
not, but say for example yourself, but also for your family. They want to be there for you.
Yeah, I think it's important you kind of, like, that's your family. You group together, you support each other. That's what gets you through.
I suppose you're lucky, not everybody has that.
No, they don't. And I do feel very lucky and blessed. I have the support system that I do, because I know that. But yeah, they've really been a blessing to us.
Can I ask, did you tell your daughters?
Yeah, funny. A lot of people have asked me, how did I break this to them? But yes and no. I mean, they're 5 and 3. They don't
Yeah.
really know the full extent, or they wouldn't really understand. But they do know that mummy had a sick boob.
A sick boob?
And they would pray every night for mummy's sick
Oh,
better.
so cute.
And then they would laugh because of said boob.
See, yeah, you tried to kind of educate them, but also in a very child-friendly
Child-friendly
way that would maybe make them laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even for whenever I was going through after surgery, they knew not to kind of, jump, or, they were a bit aware. But I have to say they've been very good. Very good.
That's great. And so what was your treatment options that were offered to you?
So usually with my type
Was it offered immediately at that consultation that you had with to confirm your diagnosis?
Yeah.
Or
So, well, actually, so after that, the appointment to confirm, they don't actually tell you there and then, because they're like, go away and digest. In fact, he says, go home and have a bottle of wine. I obviously didn't. Okay, if you say so. I obviously didn't, but he just says, look, go home and digest what you've just been told, because it can be a lot, especially at those appointments. So we took a few days, and then we came back, and then we discussed, how do we move forward here? But because there's no family history, okay, of breast cancer in my family, they need to do the BRCA gene test, which is basically the genetics test to confirm am I a BRCA gene carrier? And because if I am, then that's another worry I had. Have I passed this on to my 2 daughters? And that would give me serious mum guilt. Now, luckily, it came back negative, but then we had to wait for that to come back. Because
how long did you have to wait for that?
that was a
So
long.
how soon after you were told to go home and digest it, was it before you got the test? And then how long after you got the test was
Did
it
we have
before?
surgery? Yeah.
Well, before that you found out that you weren't.
So it took a wee bit longer, simply because we did a 21 gene test. He kind of did a full look at as much as he could. So we got told on the Wednesday night, and on the Tuesday we had our follow-up appointment. And that's when they did the genetics blood test there and then. Just thought, well, we'll do it now. It took a few weeks to come back, and then we met up again. And usually with my type of breast cancer, they can do a lumpectomy, which is basically just removing. But because mine are over such a large area, they had to do a full mastectomy with reconstruction and take away 6 sentinel lymph nodes to make sure it hadn't spread. So it was quite a lot.
For you to be told it's at early stage and it'll be
It's early
absolutely fine.
stage.
It's still a lot to
To-
process and a lot for your body to go through and for you to
Yeah.
adapt to. How did you feel about the fact that you were going to, okay, yes, you'll do anything
Oh, you'll
to
do
be
anything
disease
to get
free,
better.
but how did you
Absolutely.
feel as a woman that you're going to lose a breast and have to have reconstruction?
Yeah. I actually don't know if I fully dealt with it.
Really?
No.
I mean, how long ago was this? It's
I've-
not long.
I'm 5 weeks post-op.
Yeah. So it'll take time.
Yeah, that me and William, my husband, were actually talking, and he goes, "I don't know if you fully process
You're
what."
just going into survival mode. Do you
Absolutely.
think? Yeah.
I think your body just does go into full survival mode. It's like, right, we got to get this done, and this is what's going to happen, and it's going to be okay. And the journey still isn't over yet because there's still treatment ahead. Even though I've had my full mastectomy, I've had the lymph nodes removed, and they actually took away 6. And thankfully, it hadn't spread. And they got everything, and they were happy with how things went. So, yeah.
Would you have considered having both
Yeah.
breasts, a double mastectomy and a double reconstruction?
We did talk about that. But actually, what happened the week before, so I don't know if I told you this. So the week before, a week and a half before, before I had I thought, right, I'm going for surgery. I want to make sure I'm the best condition that I can be. And, and everything's good with my bloods. So I went to the doctors and got my bloods done, full blood count. And initially everything had come back okay. But the Friday, a week before my surgery, my doctor had rang me and says, "Natalie, your liver function tests are really off, and we're really worried. And I've already spoke to your consultant, and we need to get was it a CT scan? An MRI done. And we want that done on Monday." And I thought, oh my word, what's happened? She says 4 out of your 7 tests are way off. So obviously I'm panicking, thinking, oh my word, this is 1:30 on a Friday. I have all weekend to think about this. So my consultant had actually rang me, or I'd rang him, and he says, "Look, I really would love you to tell me you're taking a herbal supplement or something, but we don't really know what's going on here." And deep down, they thought it had spread to the liver.
Oh, Natalie, no, you did not.
No,
Tell me
4:30 on a
that.
Friday. Yeah.
And so you didn't get to speak to anyone else then until
That was it. We got my appointment for Monday. So we went up to the hospital on Monday, got it must have been the MRI. I can't remember which way around it is, but it was the MRI maybe. And everything looked okay. But I had my pre-op appointment on the Wednesday, and the liver doctor from the Royal rang me to say, "Look, you're maybe not expecting my call, but I want to have a chat to you about your bloods." And she says, "I want you in after your pre-op appointment, come over to the Musgrave, get another full set of bloods done, but more specialist, like liver related. And then I want an emergency CT scan done the next morning." So, yeah,
so that was on.
that was on the Wednesday and then the Thursday morning. So you can imagine you're up and down to the hospital as well.
And when had you had a date? Did you have a date for your surgery at this point?
The following Tuesday, and that was so uncertain at that time. And we had chatted about the double mastectomy and what we were going to do, but then this here kind of put everything off.
So you had your bloods done on the Thursday. You've had a CT scan. Did you have an MRI scan on the Monday, did you say?
MRI on the Monday.
And then, so from Thursday, when did you get your results and more clarification about what was going on?
So funnily, on the Wednesday afternoon, I'd actually went out with my mum to see my granny, and on our way home, the doctor rang and says, "Are you driving?" And I says, "Yes." She goes, "You might want to pull over." I thought, okay. And she goes, "Your blood tests are coming back completely fine. I don't think these are your results."
Oh, are you kidding me?
Absolutely. Like all that. But she goes, "Go ahead for the MRI, was it the CT scan the next morning, just to be sure, and then come up to me and we'll do more bloods." And again, yeah, wrong blood tests given to me. So you think the week before
So somebody else's.
somebody else's results. Isn't that crazy? So that added
But
to
I suppose you're at that point, you're
I
probably
thought-
like, I'm just so glad. Yeah, oh gosh.
I just thought, well, look, you know,
Oh,
what
a
if
prayer
I-
for we head.
I know. But you know what? I kind of took the positive out of that and thought, well, I've had a really good once over. I'm totally fine.
You just need to get this surgery.
Now let's get the surgery done.
So surgery went ahead.
Surgery went ahead and
And
day.
the decision to not do the
we
double.
kind of moved forward and we thought we'll just concentrate on the one for now.
Right,
Not
okay.
delay anything any further.
Right, okay.
And I thought, you know what, as a preventative down the line, I would like the other one done. And we have discussed that.
Okay.
But we thought, look, no further delay. Let's get the disease away and let's move forward. Yeah.
I remember, because you're a patient of mine,
Yes.
and so I got a message to say that you had to cancel a patient or cancel an appointment
Yeah.
because of
What I was going.
getting a lump checked at that point. It
Oh,
was just a check. And then you had messaged me to say that you needed to just cancel it, and you gave me a wee brief. And I went to reply to you and I thought, what am I doing? I'm not going to reply. I thought I phoned you right away and I hope you don't mind me calling you.
No.
And then we had, a chat,
Yeah.
and I basically just turned it all around about implants and what size you were going to get. I tried to make it a little bit positive for you.
It's no funny, like, I always used to say to my husband, when I'm 40, I want a new set and I want a holiday to Ibiza. And I'm getting both when I'm 36, so be careful what you wish for. But it's funny, that day we actually had been up in your shopping for my hospital bag, and I felt really bittersweet because you know what it's like. The only time I've ever packed for a hospital bag was going for your baby, right?
Yeah.
So it's fun, it's exciting. You're getting baby clothes, you're getting your nightie, but this time it was like, oh, I'm getting pajamas to go through something I don't really want to go for. But at the same time, I knew I had to. So it was a bit bittersweet, but you shed light on you made light of it, which was great. So yeah.
Yeah, like I suppose on one hand, it's scary and you don't want to have this operation. You don't want to have your breast removed. You don't want any of this to happen. But at the same time, you can't really complain because there's a solution.
Yep.
There's
going to get better.
There's a fix.
Absolutely.
And
What we're gonna
that's all that really matters. Yeah.
definitely.
You said at the start, Natalie, that you work you sell in life insurance. Is that right?
Yeah. So I am a mortgage and protection advisor. So we would chat to clients about and promote, critical illness cover or life insurance or being prepared for the worst.
I'm sure this has given you a whole new
outlook.
Yeah. To your job now. Like,
absolutely, because you think it's never going to happen to you. And, yes, okay, I'm always saying to my clients, no matter what the age, I deal with all clients, all ages. So it's like, but what if this was to happen? And, you're talking through all the conditions with them and, half them you haven't heard of and you hope to never have to. And now it's happened to me. And luckily I did have the right insurance in place. But at the same time, I often wonder, what if you didn't, and your wages stop? Your bills are still the same, but your outgoings increase. I mean, the amount of times we've been up and down to that hospital and things. So it's definitely something I will be able to tell clients, look at me. Look what's happened to me. What if that happened to you?
Yeah, I'm sure that was just one big thing.
Yeah.
Less to worry about.
Absolutely.
It's
a peace of mind. Like, that's one less thing.
Yeah.
We can concentrate on me getting better and we don't have to worry, So, yeah.
Natalie, can I ask why you agreed to come on and talk about your experience?
I think it's really important because, like, as I said, I was 36, but I was 36 when I got my diagnosis. Who would have thought? And if there's people or other women out there that have had, little signs and they're ignoring them. I mean, look at me.
Or not even doing the checks.
Not even doing your checks. Do your checks. It takes 2 minutes. If you're hiding or if you're scared or you find something, go get checked out. Majority of the time, it's completely fine. But give yourself peace of mind. And it's just really about creating awareness and if you've been invited for your breast screening, go get checked.
Can I ask you about that?
Yeah.
So I haven't had a breast screening because I haven't been invited.
Have
I'm
you not?
45 this year.
That's so strange.
So, because if I had been,
Yeah.
I would get my cervical smears.
Absolutely.
And I actually think that leaving it 3 years is too long now, to be honest.
Okay, yeah.
But if I had been invited for a breast screening, I definitely would have gone. So I did not know until I spoke with you
Yeah.
that it's from the age of 40.
40, you get invited. And to be honest with you, my consultant had said to me, the magic number is now 35.
Really?
Well, it should be. He says, no,
35?
yeah. Mm-hmm. But like, look at me, I'm 36. And if I hadn't have found the lump, this could be a completely different story.
Yeah.
You know,
Because you didn't, that's the
Yeah,
thing, you
because-
didn't feel anything on that
no. And
breast.
the fact that I was walking around unknown to me that this was forming is so scary. And not to scare anybody, but just be
Just to
vigilant.
educate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be mindful that, do your checks.
Who does the inviting of the breast screening? Is it your
Actually,
GP? Do they is it the trust throughout the hospital?
yeah, I'm pretty sure you should be getting a letter from your GP.
Well, I'll try and find that out.
Yeah, do.
Put it on the link for this.
Yes. Because what I'm trying to do is organise a bus in my local area, and it's only for 40 to 50-year-olds.
So you're trying to organise a bus.
The breast.
Tell me about
bus.
this.
Yes.
You
so-
briefly spoke to me about this, and I was blown away that this actually is a thing. I did not know.
Oh, absolutely. So you can organise the Action Cancer Bus to come down to your local area. Now, it does cost, but you can organise them to come down, and it's only for 40 to 50-year-olds, and they will do a breast screening. Now, there's only 20 places per day, but they will do it, and you basically place a donation. So yeah, I think it's so worth doing. I don't know. And I think it's so busy that it's booked out months in advance. But I
Right,
think
okay.
it's so worth getting done. Yeah.
And so I'm assuming then the kind of people who are arranging this are breast cancer survivors then.
I would say so. And local businesses as well. I actually think there should be a petition to lower the age to 35. I don't understand why it's still 40. I think it should be younger. And the more people I've spoke to,
Yeah, because the
So much,
outcomes are because your case to me says that it's like I don't know I don't know what I'm going to say. It might be a load of gobbledygook, but I'm trying to think of an analogy of, well, for an example,
okay.
my father-in-law recently got diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 72,
My word.
and he got put on metformin, a medication, and given some information and told that other relevant departments will be in touch with him for checks, health checks. But he actually got prescribed Ozempic and has
Oh,
altered his diet completely.
yeah.
This was in January. And whilst we were on holiday there recently, he got the phone call to say that he's not even pre-diabetic anymore.
It's not amazing.
So if
All
you can
from-
catch something early enough,
Early detection's key, isn't it?
is that, yeah. So if we are doing, so like you say, if we can get it dropped to 35,
Absolutely.
that it doesn't have to be quite as scary. I mean, it's still scary, and you've said like it affects you, your family.
Yeah. But you would want to be checked, wouldn't
But yeah,
you
I would
peace
want
of
to.
mind.
You would want to go through what you went through as opposed to an alternative,
Absolutely.
more
Because even
negative.
though I've had my surgery, my journey's not even over yet. Now we need to do.
You have to have further treatment, don't you?
Yeah, so this is more for preventative. So I don't want this to come back. So because I've had this before, you could be at higher risk of it coming back. So my options are radiotherapy and a hormone-based tablet, but it could put me into early menopause.
So what's that?
So
What treatment's that?
tamoxifen, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you take it for 5 years. And what scares
Mhm.
me about this is the symptoms, putting myself into early menopause. I might not ever have these, but I think it's another part of this, and it's more preventative if anything. And also radiotherapy more as a mop-up. Because they can't be sure there's no rogue cell floating about there, because to the naked eye they've taken everything.
Yeah.
But they can't be
But they're
sure.
not taking any chances. You're not taking any chances.
I'm not going through this again. I'm making sure of it.
You spoke about menopause there, going into early menopause. But
Yeah.
actually, I was wondering, did any of the doctors have a conversation with you about medication for when you will go through, and you will go through perimenopause and into full-blown menopause, because they haven't.
Well, so if you go through this tamoxifen tablet and you do go through the menopause with it, you can't take anything.
But this is the thing.
Okay.
Because on the NHS,
Yes.
if you've had breast cancer or family history of breast cancer, it's a hard no.
Yeah.
If you go privately to specialists,
Yeah.
it's not a hard no. It is, let's sit down and look at your diagnosis.
Okay.
Let's look at the type of cancer that you had.
Yeah.
There's actually, I recently had a conversation with a nurse who'd said that she had the Dutch, never heard of this, the Dutch test. And it's where they take saliva swabs and urine samples, and they check to see how you break down estrogen.
Okay.
Because if you metabolize in a certain way that it's toxic for your body, then you can't have the higher dose.
Okay.
Or maybe at all. So, yeah, I think that's my understanding. It's very basic at the moment.
Yeah.
But that you can actually have estrogen if you have had breast cancer or family history of breast cancer. But it depends on the type.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone can, but it's not a hard no.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So I think that that's really important, that people go and get checked by
Definitely.
a specialist in that area, because as we know, what you've been through is traumatic and very scary, and thankfully you're, through the worst of it. And but your perimenopause and menopause is no joke either.
Well,
and if you can have treatment to help you through that,
yeah.
that period, because it's 7 to 15 years and more.
That's
And when in menopause. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't rule that out. So I just thought, I think that's interesting that they have basically said to you already that
yeah.
you probably won't be able to have that when that's not technically
That's
true.
not the case. No, I definitely. It's good to know, actually.
Natalie, what would you say to someone who has just been diagnosed with breast cancer? Maybe more so at an earlier age, or maybe your specific type.
I think for me, I kept a real positive mindset throughout my whole, diagnosis, and, everything that I was going through. I just kept being so positive and not allowing myself, obviously I had down days, but I didn't allow myself too many. I kept busy. And I think that is key. Put your trust in your consultants. They know what they're doing. And keep positive, because there is so much treatment out there. And talk to other people. I had a lot of people reach out to me that had been through the journey. And it didn't matter what stage they were at. And I find that really helpful and reassuring, because it just kind of thought, it reassured me that I'm not alone. Definitely talk. Don't bottle things up, and keep positive. That's what I would there's a real sense of community on social media. If you're, and even if you speak to friends or family, they'll always know somebody that's been through it.
Yeah.
So talking to someone that has been through the journey itself, I think, is really good.
Thank you. I want to ask you something that might be a bit difficult for you to answer. Maybe it didn't happen for you. But did you find that when people were talking a lot about someone they knew, or a close family member going through it, that there was many people's situations where the outcome wasn't so good? And if so, how did you find hearing that?
Yeah, like,
before you knew where you were at with
where
your
I was at.
diagnosis and treatment.
Yes, there's obviously it's funny whenever you hear breast cancer and such and such had this, or such and such had that, a lot of people, yeah. I tried not to listen to too many of the scary stories. I think for me, I don't even know how to answer
That would be me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's not me.
Yeah,
It's not me. I'll deal with it when I have to. I'm not dealing with something until I absolutely have to, and I'm not there yet.
But you know what? I actually heard a lot of good news stories.
Yeah, that's good. Because what type of social media do you use mostly?
I use Instagram
Yeah.
and TikTok some.
Yeah. Because I find on Facebook it would be more negative.
Yes.
I don't actually use Facebook really anymore.
Facebook anymore. It's more Instagram.
I think Instagram is much more positive
Yeah.
and positivity.
I found that there was a sense of community on Instagram, and that really took me through my darker times when I was maybe having days where I wasn't feeling too good. Instagram, by me sharing my story, people that I didn't even know were checking in on me and things. So I really felt that really helped me. So I definitely feel like Instagram, as well as my own support system, has really helped me through.
I would say also with you sharing your experience on Instagram
Yeah.
was, you say you haven't fully dealt with it yet and it is still very early days.
So yeah.
But I think that you sharing and knowing that you're maybe helping other people too
Yeah.
might have been part of your dealing with it and kind of trying to heal.
Absolutely.
Do you
You
think?
know, I feel like Instagram was a bit of a digital diary as such. You know, I'm looking back on some of my videos that I took and I'm like, how did I do that? You know, how did I speak like that? You know, there's one video I did and it's like, I'm 4 days post-op. And I'm like, wow, how was I even doing that video?
It was just a very amazing coping mechanism, Natalie, because I watched them and they were very inspiring.
Yeah. And I think if anybody else is going through that journey, you know, I've done those posts and I've talked through every step of my journey so far. And I'll continue to do that until I fully finish my treatment. But, you know, through the days or each stage, you know, if you look back, I think it is a great way of kind of seeing how I was dealing with it at each and every stage, you know.
And to be very proud of yourself.
I am proud of me. I am.
You should be.
Yeah, I am proud of myself for doing what I've done so far. There's times I didn't, and I was like, my word. But you know what? Looking back, I am proud, and I'm glad I've shared it.
Can see you have a wee chip hammering right there. Do you want to tell?
My Pico.
Yeah, what is that?
So this is my Pico machine. So basically, I'm on week 5. I get it off next week. So basically, it's a machine that is a negative. It causes negative pressure to kind of, I don't know.
Just keep it simple. It helps with the wind healing.
With
The wind healing.
Exactly.
I remember having something similar like that when I had my tummy tuck. Okay, so obviously mine was for vanity reasons, but I loved it.
Yeah.
But mine, I've heard your wee beeping going, and it's like,
I'm gonna miss it.
Good one.
I'm not.
You're so weird. And mine was like a big, like almost, like a kind of like a weird animal. And I remember standing at Tesco's, and it just going. And I was just about to pay the cashier, and they just kind of looked at me, and I thought, do they think that's my stomach rumbling? Because it was Dairy Milk. So yeah, so you're close. You're getting that off next week, and then you're having your 15 rounds. 15, is that right?
15.
Seems like a lot, doesn't it?
Well, do you know what? First of all, I was offered 5, but that's more intense.
Okay, is this like lower doses?
Yes.
Right, okay.
15 is more kinder to the implant. I actually have 3 options. I can do absolutely nothing, but then I'm thinking, would I not regret if this came back and I did nothing to prevent? So I can do 15 rounds of radiotherapy as a mop-up, which is kinder in the implant. And then I can also go on the tamoxifen. I think I'll try it. If the symptoms are too bad or, you know, as in like, you know, the side effects, then I'll come off it. But at least I've done something.
Yeah, you've tried it. You've tried everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, listen, I have one last question to ask you.
Okay.
How is the implant?
Oh, it's great. I want another one done.
We'll get you back on then. You'll have to wear like my wee boob top. Well, listen, Natalie, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
I really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing this. I know that you are doing this to help other women, to encourage them to do their checks, including me.
Yes.
But women even younger, you know, much younger, 35, you heard it, 35, up, do your checks.
Do your checks.
And if you have had a diagnosis, talk to your family.
Or reach out.
Reach out, find support.
Yeah.
Try to believe in your consultants.
Yeah.
Try to trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I know what they're doing.
Yeah. Listen, thank you.
No,
I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Will
me.
we finish the rest of our champagne?
Absolutely.